This is what happened to you when someone broke your trust. You know what's crazy? People will look at somebody who struggles with trust and say, you need to stop being so guarded. You need to stop overthinking. You need to stop assuming everybody is going to hurt you. And I understand what they're trying to say, but a lot of the times what they don't understand is that person didn't just wake up one day and decide to be difficult. They ain't just wake up one day and say, you know what? I want to question everyone's intentions. I want to overthink every text. I want to struggle believing people when they say they love me. Nah, something happened. Somebody taught them that trust was dangerous. And that's what we got to talk about. Because when someone breaks your trust, especially someone who was supposed to love you, protect you, raise you, lead you, or be loyal to you, it doesn't just hurt your feelings. It changes how you see people. It changes how you see love. It changes how you see safety. And sometimes it changes how you see yourself. Because betrayal has a way of making you question things you used to be sure about. You start asking yourself, damn, how did I miss that? How did I not see who they really were? How could they do that to me? Was any of it real? Can I even trust my own judgment anymore? And that last one is important because broken trust doesn't only make you stop trusting other people, it can make you stop trusting yourself. And once you don't trust yourself, everything becomes harder. Dating becomes harder. Marriage becomes harder. Friendship becomes harder. Business becomes harder. Faith can even become harder because now you're just not dealing with what they did. You're dealing with the emotional residue they left behind. And that residue starts showing up everywhere. Maybe your mom broke your trust. Maybe she told people your private business. Maybe she chose a man over you. Maybe she wasn't emotionally safe. Maybe she made promises she never kept. So now, as an adult, when someone says, I'm here for you, you want to believe them, but something inside you says, we've heard that before. Or maybe your father broke your trust. Maybe he left. Maybe he was inconsistent. Maybe he only showed up when it was convenient for him. Maybe he made you feel like you had to earn his attention. So now, when someone loves you inconsistently, it feels normal. Not healthy, normal. And sometimes people confuse normal with healthy because normal is what they survived. You follow me? Maybe your spouse broke your trust. They cheated. They lied. They hid messages. They made you feel crazy for asking questions. They told you you're insecure when really your body was picking up on something your mind didn't have proof for yet. And now, even if you move on, your nervous system may not even move on as fast as your mouth says you did. So you could be in a whole new relationship with a good person and still feel like you're waiting on the next lie. That's emotional residue. And maybe it was a friend. Maybe you told them something sacred and they used it against you. Maybe they smiled in your face and talked about you behind your back. Maybe they abandoned you when life got hard. And now you keep friendships surface level because deep connections feels risky. Maybe it was a coach, a pastor, a teacher, a family member, someone with authority, someone you respected, someone you trusted with access to your life. And when they violated that trust, it didn't just make you angry. It made you suspicious of authority. It made you question motives. It made you wonder who is actually safe. And I need people to understand this. Trust issues are not always immaturity. Sometimes trust issues are memory. Sometimes your body remembers what your mind is trying to move past. Sometimes your reaction is not about the person in front of you. It's about the person behind you who left damage you never fully got to process. Now, does that mean you get to punish everybody because one person hurt you? No. We got to be honest about that too. Your pain may explain your behavior, but it does not excuse you hurting other people. Because there are people who genuinely want to love you, support you, be faithful to you, show up for you, and tell you the truth. But they're fighting a battle they didn't start. They're paying for damage they didn't cause. And if you're not careful, you'll make good people keep proving they're not the bad person from your past. And eventually that gets exhausting. So we got to find a balance. We have to honor what happened to you without letting it become the prison you live in. Because broken trust creates a few major things. First, it creates hypervigilance. That means you're always watching, always scanning, always looking for the shift, the tone change, the delayed text, the weird pause, the phone turned over, the energy change, the facial expression. You may call it discernment, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it's fear dressed up as discernment. Sometimes it's your nervous system saying, I missed it last time, so I refuse to miss it again. And I get it. When you've been blindsided before, You ain't trying to be blindsided again. So now you study people. You listen for what they don't say. You watch for patterns. You prepare for disappointment before it happens. Because if you expect it, maybe it won't hurt just as bad. But here's the problem. You can't fully receive love while constantly preparing for betrayal. You can't fully enjoy peace while searching for danger. At some point, your protection becomes a wall, and that same wall that keeps the wrong people out can also keep the right people from getting close. Second, broken trust creates overthinking. Somebody says, I'll call you later, and later comes. Then later passes. Now your mind starts running. Are they ignoring me? Are they with someone else? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Did they lie? And before you even have information, your body is already reacting like the betrayal happened again. That's how trauma works. It makes the present feel like the past. Your body doesn't wait for proof. Your body reacts to patterns. So if silence used to mean punishment, silence now feels threatening. If distance used to mean abandonment, distance now feels terrifying. If secrecy used to mean betrayal, privacy now feels suspicious. That's why two people can experience the same situation differently. One person sees a late response and thinks they're busy. Another person sees a late response and feels rejected, abandoned, disrespected, and unsafe. That person isn't crazy. They may be triggered, but triggered still has to be managed. That's where healing comes in. Because healing is not saying, I don't feel anything anymore. Healing is saying, I can feel this without letting it control me. Third, broken trust creates control. And this is where we got to be careful. Because when people feel unsafe, they often try to control the conversation, control the relationship, control the phone, control the schedule, control who they talk to, control where they go, control every detail so they don't have to feel powerless again. And listen, I understand the wound, but control is not the same thing as safety. Control might calm your anxiety for a moment, but it does not heal the wound, because the real goal is not to control people into being loyal. The goal is to become healthy enough to recognize who deserves access to you in the first place. That's different. One is fear. The other is wisdom. Fourth, broken trust creates self-protection that can look like sabotage. This is the person who leaves before they can be left. Yeah. They accuse before they have proof. They push people away to see if they'll fight to stay. They test loyalty instead of building intimacy. They say, I don't care, when they really care deeply. They act cold because being soft has cost them too much before. And I need you to hear me. That toughness may have helped you survive, but it might also be blocking the love you say you want, because healthy love requires some level of openness, not blind trust, not foolishness, not ignoring red flags, but openness. You cannot build a healthy relationship while keeping one foot out the door, just in case they become who somebody else was. And I know that's hard. I know, because when you've been betrayed, trusting again feels like giving somebody a loaded weapon and hoping they don't use it. But real healing is not trusting everybody. Real healing is learning to trust with wisdom. That means you don't give everyone full access immediately. You let people earn trust through consistency, not words. Consistency, not chemistry. Consistency, not apologies. Change behavior, not potential patterns. Because trust should not be built on what somebody promises. Trust should be built on what somebody repeatedly proves. And that includes you. You need to rebuild trust with yourself. You need to know that if someone lies, you won't abandon yourself to keep them. If someone cheats, you won't blame yourself because of their lack of character. If someone disrespects you, you won't keep lowering the standard just because you're afraid to be alone. If someone breaks your trust, you won't keep handing them access to destroy you again without accountability. That's self-trust. Self-trust says, I may not be able to control what people do, but I can control how I respond. I can pay attention to patterns. I can ask hard questions. I can set boundaries. I can leave when staying requires me to betray myself. That is healing. And I want to say this clearly. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. You can forgive someone and still not give them the same access. You can release bitterness and still require boundaries. You can love someone and still admit that they are not safe for you, because forgiveness is about the past. Trust is about the future. And if someone wants trust restored, they have to participate in rebuilding what they broke. Not rush you, not shame you, Not say, why are you still bringing that up? Nah, no. If you broke trust, you don't get to decide how quickly the other person heals. You don't get to create the wound and then complain about the scar. Now, for the person who was hurt, you also have a responsibility not to rush, not to pretend, but to heal. Because if you don't heal, you might start seeing betrayal everywhere, even in places where there is none. And that is a lonely way to live. So here's where you start. Ask yourself one question. Is this person hurting me right now? Or is this situation reminding me of someone who did? That question can change your life, because sometimes the answer will be, no, this person is actually doing something unsafe and I need to pay attention. But other times the answer will be, nah, this person is not hurting me. My body is just remembering what happened before. That awareness gives you power, because now you're not just reacting, you're observing, you're learning yourself, you're separating the present from the past. That's how you start cleaning up emotional residue. Not by pretending it isn't there, by understanding where it came from. And then choosing not to let it make every decision for you. Because what happened to you matters. The betrayal mattered. The lie mattered. The abandonment mattered. The broken promises mattered. The cheating mattered. The disappointment mattered. I'm not here to minimize any of that. But I am here to tell you, the person may have damaged your ability to trust, but they do not get to own it forever. They do not get to decide that you spend the rest of your life suspicious, guarded, bitter, anxious, and disconnected. You deserve more than that. You deserve a love that feels safe. You deserve friendship that feels honest. You deserve family relationships with boundaries. You deserve peace that doesn't require constant investigation. And you deserve to trust yourself enough to know. If someone shows you they are unsafe, you will respond differently this time. That's the difference between the old you and the healed you. The old you ignored yourself to keep people. The healed you listens to yourself, even if it costs you access to people you love. So no, you don't just have trust issues. You have evidence that taught you trust was dangerous. But evidence is not prophecy. What happened before does not have to happen again. And even if someone does disappoint you again, this time you won't abandon yourself. This time you'll see it clearly. This time you'll choose wisely. This time you'll protect your peace without closing your heart. Because what happened to you created emotional residue. But residue is not your identity. It can be understood. It can be processed. It can be healed. You survived the betrayal. Now let's make sure you don't spend the rest of your life reliving it. Amen.